Out Texas, Republican Congressman Michael McCaul, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
We already had a lot to talk about, but overnight we have another edition. We've got Vladimir Putin now saying that they're going to position nukes in Belarus. We're for now saying it doesn't change our posture, but what does it say to you?
That tensions are rising. I think this is saber rattling on the part of Putin to basically try to frighten with the operations going on. Here's the way I see it, Shannon, is since President Biden has come into office, he's projected weakness. And when you project weakness, you invite aggression and war. When you project strength, like Reagan talked about, you invite peace. And so what we're seeing, you saw the peace on Iran getting aggressive. And now Putin now invading Ukraine. And Chairman Xi in China threatening Taiwan and the Pacific. All these things are happening at the same time. And it's not by accident, it's by design, and it's a weak foreign policy out of fear. I mean, I think that we are so weak right now. These tactical nukes are disturbing. I think it's the fact they're in Belarus, as well. But, the Japanese prime minister went to Ukraine the other day and said that what happens here in Ukraine will happen in Taiwan and in the Far East and the Pacific. So, we have to... This is a very important confrontation right now.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about this in the context of Ukraine, Xi meeting with Putin, and all of the other things that are interconnected here. There are lawmakers out there now saying, including Josh Hawley, GOP senator, saying they've got questions. We're outspending relative to NATO and our European allies when it comes to what's happening there. And he warns that the Chinese fully understand that our resources are tied up in Ukraine. If that happens, we can't use them if there's an invasion of Taiwan. New York Times citing one study reporting this: if a large-scale war broke out with China within about a week, the United States would run out of so-called long-range anti-ship missiles. So last time you were here, you said you did think we could actually be in military conflict with China by 2025. So with that in mind, the resources, the military aid, what are your concerns on those two fronts? Our
defense industrial base is not up to speed. Now, the weapons we're putting into Ukraine are old weapons, more land-based. The ones we send to Taiwan are going to be sea, maritime based, and they're new weapons. I think the concern, though, is I signed off on foreign military sales to Taiwan 3 years ago that have yet to go into country, and I'm getting ready to travel over there. That's a concern. There's no deterrence. I think what's happening in Ukraine will provide a deterrence with what happens to Taiwan, but they are not prepared. There's no deterrence there for war.
But if China knows that, how much does that cripple us in the idea of deterrence?
I think what's more disturbing to me is this alliance between Putin and Xi. And they just met again, saying the next 100 years are going to be the greatest years. And they're talking about putting in lethal weapons from China into Ukraine, into the fight, with Russia. This is an unholy alliance, and they're buying weapons from Iran and North Korea. They're all tied together in this thing. It's a geopolitical, it's a fight between tyranny, oppression versus democracy and freedom in the West. And you can't dissect the two. They're tied together. What happens in Ukraine directly affects Taiwan and the Pacific, and we need to deter on both sides. My argument is this administration has wholly failed in that deterrence.
So China, it's not just that they, the meeting with Putin this week, obviously that's disturbing, but they're brokering deals between the Saudis, the Iranians. Brazil's president, until it was delayed for illness, had a trip planned to meet with them in Beijing as well. Are we losing, is the U.S. losing our positioning on the world stage where China is courting people out there and very willing to do it very publicly?
We're losing our prestige. We're not leading in front. We're leading from behind. We talked about during Obama years, right? And then you had ISIS rear its ugly head. Because of this weakness, our aggressors, foreign nation adversaries, are on the march. They are getting aggressive against our interest in the United States because of this weakness. And I know President Trump, at least when he was in office, they feared him.
But what about those who said that he created a chaotic situation, that when Biden came back in, it was going to be a smoother, calmer foreign policy, that President Trump had pulled out of key agreements and that he had created chaos, and under him, as critics say, that we lost respect around the world?
Fear provides deterrence and unpredictability as well, I would say, with Trump. I would say with Biden, because of this projection of weakness. And I go back to Afghanistan. We may not have time to talk about this, but when Afghanistan imploded, that is the turning point. That is when Putin looked, not a question of if, but when, Putin looked at Ukraine and Xi's looking at Taiwan. That's when everything changed. Afghanistan was a turning point. It was a disaster. We left Americans behind, Afghanistan partners behind. And then we had heard testimony about the sniper. They had the suicide bomber in his sights, but wasn't given authority to take out the suicide bomber that would have saved 13 servicemen and women. That's a tragedy. And that is the beginning of when things started to go downhill.
Well, I want to ask you about this because you asked Secretary Blinken this week about this dissent cable you said came from embassy employees who were worried about the strategy, the pullout strategy there in Afghanistan. You have asked numerous times for it. You've been asking for it for years. Here's what he said this week about why you haven't gotten it so far.
Let's not be racist towards China and express our...
By our regulations, these cables may only be shared with senior officials in the department. And again, that's to protect the integrity of the process, to make sure we don't have a chilling effect on those who might want to come forward, knowing that they will have their identities protected and that they can do so, again, without fear or favor.
So he says that's the justification for why you haven't gotten it. You told him you would subpoena him if you don't get it by the end of business on Monday. What do you think is in the cable, and do you think you're going to get to see it?
It's extraordinary to have 23 embassy employees dissenting to the policy of the Secretary of State and the White House. We want to know, and the American people deserve to know, and the veterans and the Gold Star mothers deserve to know what were in those dissenting cables. What was it was so important that these 23 employees were reaching out at the highest levels saying we disagree with your policy. I don't care about his internal policies. I care about the veterans and Gold Star mothers, and like Marine Sergeant Vargas Andrews had his arm blown off and his leg, who had the suicide bomber in his sights and wasn't given permission to engage. That's what I care about, and that's why if they don't deliver by Monday close of business, I will serve that subpoena.
Okay, I want to make sure we get back to the other gentleman we were hearing from there. It was Congressman Jamal Bowman. This is on the issue of TikTok, a very heated hearing this week. But he says just going after TikTok is potentially racist. Here's what he says.
Let's not be racist towards China and express our xenophobia when it comes to TikTok, because American companies have done tremendous harm to American people.
So he says that this is a somehow xenophobic motivation to go after China. And TikTok, when we have American companies, he says here, are creating privacy concerns in the same ways.
Well, we're racist, but the Chinese are not. I don't understand this logic. Blame America first. I mean, the fact is, you know, every national security official in this administration has said that it is a national security threat. And you know what? We've banned it in the Congress, right? So if we banned it in the Congress, it's too dangerous for us to have. Why in the world is it safe enough for our children to have? It is a backdoor into your iPhone. It's a spy balloon into your phone. It can collect your data. It can message to you. I've marked up a bill out of my committee, constitutional framework, to ban TikTok. And I think Congress is going to move forward on this. One thing you saw from the hearings in a bipartisan way, that both sides of the aisle were standing together saying, this is a threat to our children and we need to stop it.
To that point, there are going to be several American companies who are heavily invested or actually producing in China, meeting in Beijing this week. That includes people like, according to the Wall Street Journal, Tim Cook from Apple. At what point do American companies who benefit off of being there have an obligation to speak out against things that are in conflict with our interests? I mean, things that are happening with our young people and kids through some of these products.
It's profit versus national security. I deal with this all the time. Are we going to export technology, Shannon, that go into the hypersonic weapon? You know, that was built on the backbone of American technology. The spy balloon had American components in it. Is it right for us to make profits exporting technology to the Chinese that then they put into their war machine that they could turn against us, say, in Taiwan and the Pacific? I don't think so. I think we have to appeal to a sense of patriotism in this case. I think national security outweighs profit incentive.
All right, we didn't even get to Syria, but our time is up. Chairman, thank you for coming back. Always good to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
All right, up next.